Welcome to the City Council meeting for January 22nd, 2024. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Second. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to correct, that's January 2nd. Tried to throw an extra 20 days in there. So if we can call roll, please.
Here.
Present.
Councilmember Rozier. Here. Councilmember Bowman.
Here.
Councilmember McCoy.
Here.
Councilmember Oglesby.
Here.
Councilmember Perez.
Here.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you. All right, we'll do the oath of office. So the three of us will go down here. Oh, I don't care. You can do whatever you want. Faces out.
I mean, I'll go as far as. I got this down now. Third time in charge, yeah.
We're going to do this all together. Okay. Ready? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly affirm or swear that I am a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington, and will, to the best of my judgment, faithfully and impartially perform all duties of council member for the city of Battle Ground, county of Clark, and state of Washington, as such duties are prescribed by law.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't have that. No, I sent you.
So I get to stand and, okay, where's the lead when we meet?
We'll both do it, Rob, then you can do like that.
Come on, buddy, ready?
All right. All people do me out here. I'm like, I'm secretly hating us off.
All right, welcome aboard, new council members. This sentence is longer than most murder sentences in the state of Washington, just in case you're wondering. So you'll be here for a while. Let's move on to the selection of mayor. So we will now commence the mayoral selection process. Each member of the city council may nominate one person. There's no need for a second. If the nominee does not wish to accept the nomination, they must decline it at the time of nomination. If there are multiple nominees, council members will vote using your ballots that are inside of this. So go ahead and open that up if we have more than one nomination. So I will open it for nominations.
Chair Bowman, I'd like to nominate Mr. Troy McCoy for mayor.
Any other nominations?
Councilmember Bowman, I'd like to nominate Eric Oberholzer for mayor.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right, go ahead and take your sheet out that has the mayor vote for one and sign it. And then Ms. Lely will come and grab it.
Am I able to ask a question of
You
the
are.
two nominees? Because it doesn't say that I can't. So would anybody allow me a question of the two nominees so it will help me make a decision?
Any objections from council?
That's not normally the process, so. This is
But it
not-
doesn't
this
say
is not
that.
an election. So.
Okay.
One against? Anybody for? No.
Go ahead and ask your questions.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I was just wondering for my vote is we have a presidential election coming up and I've been approached by many citizens about fluoride in the water. And I thought that would be a perfect opportunity for us to allow the citizens to vote on it. And I was just wondering, would either of you support that? Not saying that you would be, I'm not asking for your vote or anything, but is that something that you would be willing to discuss at all?
So
Chair,
go ahead.
point of order. That's something that's not the norm for standard Roberts rules, so.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert's rules.
I would agree with that from a
Okay.
standpoint that that would be a council decision and
Right.
not a mayor or individually. their
Okay, I'd
decision.
like to clarify and then I'll leave it alone at that is why I'm asking is just to see, because whoever becomes mayor at the end of this evening, they will have complete control over the agenda. Well, not complete control, but I just want to make sure that, because I don't know either two of you, that gentleman that well, to just make sure there's going to be fairness with, because you will have more control over the agenda and with who will be sitting on the committees. And I just want to make sure that there will be impartiality and that people will all have a fair chance to, help out their citizens the best way that they think in regards to going on committees and what will be on the agenda. Like if I have a concern that's going to be on the agenda, will my voice be heard and it will end up or, yeah.
So I think in answering your question about the agenda, the mayor has the power of the agenda set with the city manager.
City manager.
We can add anything to the agenda as a council, as a body, or bring it into a meeting, add it with a vote if the mayor will not put it on and the city manager won't put it on. So that would take a vote and a second and,
Okay.
and a majority vote. In the 12 years that I've been here, I have never had that happen where we needed to do a vote in a second because something would not be allowed to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
So I think that, this is a challenge sometimes we see with our form of government versus other forms of government. Strong mayor versus city manager and council form of government is strong mayors are the CEO, if you would, of the city. They get to choose how that goes. Council, and they tend to have more issues when councils disagree with them.
Mhm.
Ours is, I don't want to say it's ceremonial because you represent the council as a whole, which can be tough sometimes when your opinion is different than those of councils because you have to go out and represent council. So, for that standpoint, I don't think you'll ever have a problem getting it on there, discussing it,
Okay.
those type of things. And I would always recommend that you work with city staff first to develop what you're looking for and then let council know and bring it to the attention of the mayor and it'll get on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So if you will take out your ballots, mark your names, sign them. Mr. Lely's going to come grab them. Need the Jeopardy music. Yeah.
Will now read the ballots in order of position of council members.
Perfect.
Councilmember McCoy has cast his vote for Councilmember McCoy. Councilmember Bowman has cast his vote for Councilmember McCoy. Councilmember Ferrer has cast her vote for Councilmember McCoy. Councilmember Cortez has cast his vote for Councilmember McCoy. Councilmember Davis has cast her vote for Eric Overholt, Councilmember Overholzer. Councilmember DeRozier has cast her vote for Councilmember McCoy. And Councilmember Overholzer has cast his vote for Councilmember Overholzer.
Perfect. So it looks like 6-2, 5-2, sorry. 5-2, Councilmember McCoy, you're the new mayor. Thank you very much. You're up. Yep, we're switching chairs.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, for your service.
It was quick and painless.
Mayor of the year, right there.
That's how I like it, right?
Only got a few things in here.
All right, well, I probably should have read this stuff. All right, now we're on to the selection of the deputy mayor. We'll now commence that. So I will open nominations for deputy mayor. Remember, you can only nominate one person.
Mayor McCoy, I'd like to nominate Mr. Bowman for deputy mayor.
Any other nominations?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Eric Overholzer for deputy mayor.
I'd like to decline that nomination if I could, please.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Hearing none, I don't think we need to vote. Correct?
Yep.
So we do just a voice vote,
Nope, it's a vote.
just
by
by
consent.
unanimous consent.
Yes.
Congratulations, Deputy Mayor Bowman.
Mayor McCoy, would you like to switch you and Councilmember Bowman's tags? Do we
No.
know who you are?
Jill.
That way we know who to blame.
Okay, this is all new form, all right. I know, sorry. Okay, now I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Passes by unanimous consent. Moving on to summer reports and presentations, council member reports.
I did the City of Lights that was whoever put that on, right? That was awesome. I saw people driving from we went really late at night. It was like 10 o'clock. Me and my family were late owls. And there was actually people that were doing the same thing at 8 o'clock and 10 PM. So it was really nice. I was thinking we could do that also for Halloween too, because there's some pretty amazing houses that do the same thing.
I did just get back from a RTC meeting, the Regional Transportation Council. There's some, there was some talk of third corridor and how RTC would potentially play into that, and it's really not within the purview of the RTC. So there's no sponsor for a third bridge. So that took up most of the conversation. And they did present our 502, 503 completed project as a completed project. So that's going to be quite the time commitment, but looking forward to learning more about RTC as we go through the year. All right, now we do have to do some appointments. CTRAN requires an appointment to their board, I believe, by January 9th, as the next meeting will not take place until after that. What's that? Okay, so for the appointment of council liaison to CTRAN, term expiring 12/31/2024. I have, I believe, Councilmember Cortez has expressed interest. And I know Councilmember DeRocher cannot due to conflict of interest. So without objection, Councilmember Cortez is our liaison. For the alternate and for our new members, do we need a vote? Okay. I thought the appointment, okay.
Do we have to do that on appointments?
No, we've never done that in the past.
I think appointments are,
Not for the C-Tran board.
my understanding was at the mayor's purview and then it could be overruled. But I'm happy to do a motion. That's
In my research, the company has made a motion.
Okay.
And
That's fine. Could I have a motion then, please?
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor as Councilmember Cortez is our council liaison to CTRAN, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay, and moving on to the alternate. For our newer members, whether it's this board or any other board, I know when I first came on, I was an alternate for the DCWA board. Alternates, in my opinion, should go to meetings or at the very least get a summary afterwards. Whether it's this board or another board, whether you're the main rep, alternate's a great place to start to learn whichever committee you're thinking that you want to end up on. I would really suggest looking at the alternates, not saying for this one but just in general. DCWA, CTRAN, that RTC, there's a lot of boards that have bigger budgets than we do. I think the CTRAN Rapid Transit was $50 million. If I remember. So just that one project.
If I can say something to that, Mr. Mayor. This is an important thing. I've been around for a little bit and sat on a lot of these boards. And I've seen the other cities who send their representatives and they have their alternates too that show up. And the reason for this, like the mayor's talking about, I'm just going to use Discovery Clean Water Alliance as an example. We are doing a lot of work in Discovery Clean Water Alliance with plant expansions, with secondary lines that we're talking about for us, those type of things. We used to meet every month and it was a lot of work every month. And we've got good staff. Our staff at the city is working with them. And so what we've done is we've taken that down to once a quarter. But in that time, that once a quarter meeting, you may show up and be an alternate to something and have to vote on a budget that's going to cost the city of Battleground $6 million. If you're not ready to make that vote, that now stalls that for another 3 months. And so that's a 6-month gap. And that can be huge in construction costs. It can be huge in a lot of things. So you have to be up to speed on you know, like the mayor is saying, at least, why, well, almost all these have an online component, at least watch online. If you can show up in person, get the information, study it. And some of those are different than others. Some of the boards that we have are fairly, we can show up and we really don't, we have a say, but we really don't have a say. We're just there to, but I think it's real important that as a council that we pull together on that kind of stuff and help lift, because you just never know when someone's not going to be there. Thank you.
So with all that said, does anybody have a passion to be on a C-Tran alternate?
You get food.
Oh, yeah.
You're wondering.
If not, I'll step up because I do believe that I'd like to see C-Tran put some pullouts on some of their bus routes. I think the bus sitting on Main and 503 right there, I'd love to see them have a place to get out of the way of traffic on one of the busiest intersections in the city. So if nobody wants it, then I'll step up.
How many committees do we get to be on?
As many as you have time for.
Okay.
If you, I still will throw out the alternate. If you want to do it, absolutely. Councilmember Ferrer.
I've got only two interests. My biggest interest is being an alternate so I can learn more on the Discovery Water and C-Tran. Yeah, I mean, if nobody wants it, I'll step up and take it. But if you prefer to do it, then I will allow you to do it.
I believe my time will be taken up quite a bit, so I
Okay,
think I'll be all right with that. I don't think I'll have to.
okay. I'll take it.
Do we need to make a motion for that? So I would make a motion that Councilwoman Ferrer be appointed to the deputy,
To the.
to the alternate position of C-Tran board.
And a second? All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Do we know when those meetings are?
Says monthly.
Second Tuesday.
And I believe what time is it?
It usually starts at people start showing up around 4:30.
And that's down by
Sorry.
the State Patrol,
He used to serve on it.
112, correct?
Yeah, 112 to the first shift, 10600.
They will send you as soon as this meeting, and the clerk will enter it, and I'm sure they'll reach out via email.
Your order for whatever they're ordering. It'll be
Okay, and then next meeting, we will deal with the rest of the appointments to committees. So please reach out if you have something that speaks to you. And then, so now we're moving on to citizens communications. I just have one sign up for Judy's, is it Sales? Sables, all right, please come on forward, come on. Okay, no problem. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Judy Salick, and I am a senior, and I am here to plead for the seniors. You guys, and I've been told it's this body that's done it, is causing us not to be able to play Pinochle anymore. We can't play Pinochle on Saturday nights because you keep raising the cost. When I ask why is the cost being raised, we're being told now, after 27 years of playing twice a month at the senior hall, that I have to become incorporated, a nonprofit. Who makes money off of playing Pinochle? We provide a meal so the seniors have a good meal. At least twice a month, they're getting a good meal and they're getting activity. They're talking to other people. They're playing a game to keep their mind going. They are socializing. They look forward to coming to this Pinochle. I started doing it when my uncle was on the, helped build that hall 27 years ago. At 37, I was doing it. I'm now 75 and I'm still doing it. And not one person on this board has come forward to help the seniors. You keep raising the cost. I just was paying $60. I'm paying $60 a time. Now I'm being told it's going up to $80. And now I'm being told that we used to come in a half an hour early to move all the tables around to get it set up for them to play. Oh no, you're gonna pay for that half an hour, even though there's no one in that hall. We sometimes go a little later cleaning it up because I've had to buy toilet paper for the hall. I've had to mop the floor. We have to clean tables sometimes after when we get there because people leave it dirty. I have to put a deposit down every year. I don't get the deposit back. I just put a deposit down for what I don't know. Because the bathrooms are not clean. The kitchen's not clean all the time. But you want the seniors. That hall is called a senior hall over there on Third. It says seniors right out there in front. When you got your last grant to do the remodeling of that, you got it under the word seniors from the, I don't know, from the government. You have to give us seniors a chance to use the hall. The seniors that use it every Tuesday and Thursday who get a meal every Tuesday and Thursday and then play some cards, they've been priced right out of it. They're canceling it. How can you let that happen? You all are going to be in your 70s before long. And let me tell you, you're going to want a place to go or something to look forward to. And you're taking that away from us. And I am told that the person in charge of the Park and Rec, she has no right to make a decision to help us or not. It has to be you. So I'm coming to you on behalf of seniors that want a place to go. And they want to go to the senior hall. And this city offers zero stuff for seniors. Oh yeah, there's stuff for seniors if people like me or the senior board wants to do it, but nothing that you put on. That hall used to be unlocked during the day so seniors could go in there and play cards and meet with other ones. It didn't have to be scheduled. Now we can't get in the hall. We get locked out. I have never gone without paying for that hall for 27 years, but it's now going up to the point where I can't afford to keep paying for it so other seniors can play. You guys need to vote to not make me have to be a nonprofit because I make no money there. I'm not a bingo parlor where people come in and can win big prizes and I can walk out with money. I am not that. We give every penny to the people that play, the seniors that play. We keep no money. I buy supplies out of my pocket. The paper plates, the cups, the spoons and forks, new cards when we need them. You guys provide nothing and you give nothing to seniors, and you should be ashamed of yourself to let this happen.
Thank you.
I hope you vote on it tonight.
Mr. Chairman, could we put on the agenda for next meeting? Oh, I don't have another form. My apologies. Kimberly, please.
No problem. My name is Kimberly Goheen Elbin. I'm a life citizen of Clark County, Washington, USA. I was born in Vancouver, Washington. And when this pandemic happened, God put me on fire to speak about the Vancouver City Council being United Nations members for over 16 years. Excuse me, I'm a little out of breath, I guess. It's my second day of no smoking tobacco. Hallelujah. It's also my 4th year of sobriety from alcohol use. God is good. He knows I needed it. My sobriety. I'm also a 50-year graduate of Battleground. I happen to be a Tiger. Some people have claimed that I was a Cougar, but I'm actually a Battleground Tiger. Got to have a sense of humor these days. And by God, I'm a senior citizen. That building needs to stay open until those bad kids do something wrong there and keep that senior place open. You have enough money, tax dollars, hard-earned tax dollars to go around to keep up our senior citizens' buildings. Okay, that's our building. You guys can help out. That's what you're for. And so I do want to mention the three-stranded form of government. We, the people, elect you folks. You folks come to find out on your government thing is that the mayor actually is only a celebrated entity of representing the council. The council represents the people. So we have the people, we have our council, and then the council votes, or excuse me, hires city managers, just like Vancouver did. They, by the way, gave them a $24,000 a year raise. $24,000. That's $2,000 a month. Eric Holmes receives above his six-figure, over $200,000. I think it's three, but I don't want to misquote. So now we have hired officials that actually write the legislation and actually run the area, because the city manager can't do a thing without them. So I am here to, as I said, I was on fire, put on fire 3 years ago. I want you to know that we, the people, will speak. You represent us. You hire people that we could trust will use the Constitution and not follow along with Mayor Ogles and Inslee's, for that matter, and criminal Biden's agenda. Okay? We need to get our Constitution back. You took an oath. I kind of could have picked that apart. It doesn't say that they have to follow the Constitution. It says that they will apply it. So you know what? Just figure it out that we, the people, are going to start to wake up after 3 years to this nightmare. And anyway, you know, it's nothing really personal other than God has me speaking, and so that's what I'll do. I do need to also warn people, the citizens, that Clark County Council, I spoke today, they are putting 890 acres of Shalachi Prairie. They will strip 890 acres worth of trees during a pandemic that we have polluted the earth to death. We need our trees, let alone they're going to mine it for the rock. They're going to put it on the railroads, and it's going to go to the bridge and to light rail. So people need to wake up here in Clark County, help Shalachi Prairie. They don't want this. They don't want to have mining. And then you think about it, all the dust and particles and everything going down this railway that Clark County Council and whoever else you want to talk to, the transportation. By the way, Mayor Ogle is chair of transportation. She's the mayor and she's chair. Clark County Council members are also the Clark County Board of Health. And I've asked them for months now. Why don't we have a Clark County Board of Health meeting for 4 months now? Why? Because people are coming up
Let's try to
alive.
keep this about Battleground.
So thank you. Yeah, well, thank you. Battleground is in Clark County. I'm highly concerned. But we want to make sure that those acres are not mined. You know, we've overpopulated the earth, let alone here in our areas here where we're using hard-earned tax dollars for housing. I mean, when you're in a recession with inflation and you're building all these timber homes, I don't get it, but I do understand it. It's part of the Growth Management Act, of which I believe, are you guys members of the, you guys went into the Growth Management Act? That's another thing we need to remind citizens of, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh,
Were you requesting to bring the senior center back?
yeah, could we bring that back for next meeting?
Yes, we can.
If there's anybody online, I'm sorry, did you have something?
Are we going to invite the seniors to the other meeting?
Well, I would just like a presentation on the fees, and my understanding was the fees hadn't gone up, so if that's changed or what's changed for the senior center, maybe just a quick summary. Mike.
Are these groups separate from the entity that comes here and we
Yeah, so I think part of the major issue that we're experiencing is we're trying to get everybody following the same rules. And so to get the nonprofit, the cheaper rate, which is a 50% discount, they have to have a nonprofit status and show that. And so I think that's where the rub is.
Get
because-
it
So the rates aren't really changing. It's that they need that nonprofit.
But it's
status.
not, we're not reimbursing them. 'cause
We
they're-
still are reimbursing them too. So that program still exists as well. So even if they didn't qualify for the nonprofit status, they would still qualify for the senior reimbursement program.
Okay. I'm sorry, what? Oh, no, we're good there.
I think we're just bringing it back next meeting.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next meeting.
Next week.
Yep.
That means for the whole month of January, we have a part. That means.
Where this at this point, yeah, I appreciate, at this point, we're moving on to consent agenda, but we'll take a look at it. This is the first I've heard of anything about this. So yeah, we'll meet in 2 weeks and
Right now. do it.
miss, thank you.
Thank you.
And now moving on to consent agenda. Any members of council believe any item should be removed? If
Move to
not, I'll
approve it
entertain a
as
motion.
Presented.
Motion to approve has been given. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Unanimous consent. Moving on to business, street preservation program. Mr. Hersig, or is that Ms. Erdman?
Yes, Mr. Herseg.
Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Good evening, council. Tonight I'm going to talk about the 2024 Street Preservation Program. The outline of the presentation is I'll talk about street ratings, how projects are selected, the work that was completed in 2023, what we're proposing for 2024, how we'll go about procuring it, and then I'll leave time for questions. And feel free to interrupt me at any time if you have questions. So the first part is the street ratings. This is kind of a reminder for everyone and then introduction to our new council members. So we re-rate the streets every 3 years. Our first street rating was in 2017. So 2023 is our most current rating. Right now, the city has 87.5 centerline miles of streets, and that's as of 2022. 7 miles of arterials, about a little over 17 miles of collectors, and then a majority of our streets are local streets. The city's overall PCI is 72, which is considered good. Essentially what PCI is it's a way to rate the streets based on visual inspection. So an inspector goes out, looks at cracks, different things, and then based on all of that, the area that's covered by it, that gets a PCI score. So you can see on the right, the chart, 61% of our streets are good. About 24% are fair, 13% are poor, and then just under 2% are very poor. The review ED also comes up with various funding scenarios to look at streets. Typically, we look at 4 different scenarios. The first scenario is unconstrained needs. That's essentially you have no issue with funding the entire street program to get it down to $0 deferred maintenance. To do something like that in Battleground, it would be $4.5 million per year, or almost 23 million over the 5-year period. That would raise our PCI by 11 points to 83. Current funding, and that was based on the 2023 numbers, was 1.2 million. So over the 5 years, you'd be at 6. Over that 5-year period, that would raise our score by 1 point. To increase the PCI by 5, we'd have to spend about $2 million per year, or 10 over the 5 years. And that obviously would raise you to 77. And then a zero funding scenario, over 5 years, we would actually lose 8 points and be down to a 64. And with that scenario, at that end of that time, we'd have $20 million in deferred maintenance. Right now, we're about 8.2 million in deferred maintenance. The 2024 budget is about 2.75 million, which includes the TIB grant that we received. So we'll talk about how projects are selected. First thing I want to talk about is the treatment options we have. First is crack seal. That's simply going out with oils and sealing the cracks. That's about $1 a linear foot. Then you have slurry seal, which is a mix of oils and rock. Essentially seals the street, prevents moisture from getting in, which is usually what causes damage. That's just under $3 a square yard. You have micro surfacing, which is a little bit higher class, but similar to a slurry seal. You do that on your bigger roads that have more traffic. That's $5 to $6 a square yard. A chip seal is an oil with rock over the top of it. That's $7 a square yard. You have a cape seal, which is a slurry over the top of a chip seal. So that's about $10 a square yard. You have a mill and fill, which is what we do typically like on our arterials. So you saw that on Main Street last year, on Eaton a few years previous. That's about $20 to $22 a square yard. And then you have a reconstruction where you go down to the soil, you take out all the asphalt, all the rock, rebuild everything. And that can be $115 to $150 a square yard.
Sorry to interrupt. Just so I'm clear though, with those treatment procedures, the more costly they get down towards the bottom is usually the more severity of the damage to the road to repair, correct? So like a crack seal is a maintenance thing that could be done.
Exactly. Yeah, so you want to be in the range where you can do those cheap things and keep your roads good. And I'll actually talk about that right now. So when we go to select the projects, the model spits out a recommended treatments based on our budget and things we do to maximize the PCI. So the actual strategy is to maintain your good roads first and then tackle your bad roads. So I think kind of the public perception is, why are you not fixing the bad road and keeping the good roads, doing something on the good road? There is a reason for that, and that it's far cheaper to keep those good roads good than repair the bad roads. So that's always the first thing you do, keep those roads good, and then you can go after the bad, which is essentially your deferred maintenance. And obviously you can see it's way cheaper to do those maintenance processes. So that's why you do it that way. Staff then in a sense uses that model as a base and then fine tunes it to maximize budget. That's things like pairing projects together. So model might spit out, you should do A, B, and C. Well, there's A and A from next year. It makes more sense to package those together. So you do all A this year and then all of, that sort of thing. And that maximizes your budget. So for our 2023 work, we did quite a bit of mill and fill. We did Main Street from Parkway to Fairgrounds, and that was covered mostly by a TIB grant. We did Eaton Boulevard from 9th Avenue to Parkway, and then we did the remaining portion of Main Street from 503 to where the previous project had ended the year before. All of that in total was about $900,000. We did about 38 ADA ramps, the cost of $460,000. Some of them were on the projects that you can see here, and then some of them were on the chip seal that you see on this slide. With that, we also did chip seal East Main Street, Fairgrounds to 16th, 25th Street from 4th Avenue to Parkway, and 132nd Avenue from 249th to 25th. The total cost of that was $110,000. So our cost summary for last year, like I said, the 900 and the 110, we had the ADA, and then we contracted out crack seal and markings, 200 and 100 for that. And then the county completed the long line striping. So all in, we were about 1.8 million for last year.
Are we getting like that's $12,000 per ADA ramp? Like that seems like a lot to me when I look at a sidewalk and it's just a slope sidewalk with some concrete and a bumpy thing on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all in. So that covers your traffic control, your erosion control, kind of all of those things. It is pretty expensive. obviously we've been seeing the price go up just like everything else, but that technically covers all of that, but yeah, it's getting pretty expensive.
Didn't we have some grant funding for that?
The grant just was the road part of it for the TIB piece.
Okay, not the ADA.
No, I think we had a complete streets grant 2 or 3 years ago that we did some with that, but not with this current batch.
Thank
So for 2024, I just did these by area. They helped with the mapping, but we've got area number 1. So we'll do microsurfacing, which is essentially the heavier duty slurry seal. We have 2 roads that we completed in 2012, being Scotton from 20th to 503 and Grace from Rasmussen to Eaton. Those are at a good age where they just have some little bit of cracking, that sort of thing going on right now. So we'll get those sealed up and preserve all the money we spent to complete all those projects. And then Commerce Avenue will get a chip seal, and that will be from Rasmussen to Eaton. We're estimating about 3 ramps in that area. So the total expected cost of this area is $645,000. Area 2, I call it the north neighborhood. So there'll be both a slurry seal, which is the green solid line, and then a cape seal, which is your, you put a chip seal down first and then a slurry over the top. Some of those streets are in worse condition. So the streets we can do with the slurry seal, but the slightly worse streets we're doing with the cape seal. Once you step up to a cape seal, you have to replace any ADA ramps that go along with it. So we're estimating about 31 in that area. And just why I say estimated is those are all the ramps we're touching. We'll go out and look at them before we go to bid, make sure they're actually in a spot where they have to be replaced. If they don't need to, then we obviously won't do it. But my guess is, being an older neighborhood, most of these will have to be replaced, but we'll definitely check that before we do anything. Total cost for that is $665,000. Area 3 is east of 20th and north of Main. We have quite a bit going on over here. So we have a mill and fill. Sorry, something popped up on my screen. Well, not sure why. I didn't touch anything, so it wasn't me.
Yeah.
So area 3, we've got a mill and fill on 18th Avenue. We've got microsurfacing on 15th Avenue, and then the rest of the neighborhood in that area will get cape seal. Again, we're estimating about 23 ramps, and the total cost to do all that, $530,000.
Didn't we just do something there?
That's where traffic calming.
Okay, it was only the speed bumps?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Now my thing is not moving forward.
Oh.
Okay. We will get through this. Area 4 is kind of central over by Rasmussen Parkway. This one's pretty straightforward, just a slurry seal. Cost for that $70,000. And then our last area will be Eaton Boulevard, Grace Avenue to East City Limits. This will be a mill and fill, estimating 2 ramps, cost $610, but approximately $500 of that will come from the TIB grant that we received. So estimated for 2024, you add everything up, you throw in the crack seal and markings, which will both be contracted, and then the long line striping again. We're about 2.75 million. So procurement, we talked to Clark County and they are bidding a sealing contract this year. So that will cover slurry, the microsurfacing, the chip seal, and the cape seal. So we'll provide our quantities to them, and that'll be a joint contract with at least Vancouver, the county, and us, and usually some of the other jurisdictions participate as well. We'll bid out the mill and fill ADA ramps and the markings. Last year, we were able to piggyback off Vancouver's crack seal contract, so we'll try to do that again. If not, we'll bid that separately. And then Clark County does the striping as with their staffing. That is all I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mark?
I just want to piggyback off of what Mr. Bowman had said, at $12,000 a ramp. And I'm counting 50 some ramps that are in that project note. Is there a way we can piggyback on a larger contract with those as well to get them below the $12,000 mark per ramp?
We can look. I know Vancouver does a ramp project because they have similar street to us. I'm assuming the county does. So we can look into that. I know their prices have, our prices actually have been typically lower than theirs. That's until recently. I haven't checked in the last couple of years, but in the years prior to that, ours actually were coming in lower than theirs.
Okay. Does that have to do with prevailing wage on a job, or?
That's why it costs more than private, but we all have to pay prevailing wage. So all of the jurisdictions do, but that's why if you're like a private developer, they can probably build it for, you know, 3,000 or 4,000 where we're paying 12,000.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Any other questions? Could you bring up that, go back to, I guess, 2 slides where you had the total monies that we're spending this year? Yeah, right there. In years past, about how much has that been? I believe it was like 2 million last year and.
Yeah,
one-
so last year, having all of that in, it was the 1.8, I think, and it's been significantly less than that in years previous. So this will be by far our biggest year with street preservation.
And historically, I know in the lean years, that was pretty much,
Yeah, we had nothing. We've had $200,000 or $300,000. So this is a significant increase.
We had a year that Mr. Ganley came unglued from the dais over $5,000 to stripe Main Street. We couldn't come up with $5,000 to stripe Main Street, and he came unglued. So this is a lot different than it used to be.
This robust list of items is at council direction. That's what we asked for.
well, and I think this is really instructive because when we look at that TBD, we look at the 1% increase. These are things that go away when that goes away, because police, water, sewer, can't really touch them. So this is where the extra tax dollars go.
Is this going to be hitting any of those really poor areas? I know you said preventative, but and you also mentioned that you can find ways to, you know, work a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Are any of those a little bit of those very poor areas? Because
Yeah, with this, we're not touching any of the very poor. We're still on the preventative.
We really need grants to, well, I mean, we have Grace coming in. We have other big projects. This is just the preservation program.
Rate lower.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't want to take up too much of my time. It's my first meeting and I know I'm new here, but when I talk to the public and the people, the citizens of Battleground, the one thing they're seem to be the most concerned about is infrastructure to support the growth. It's something like this that I see that it shows that we are focused on the infrastructure to support the growth in all of those areas. Some of those, especially Eaton on the way out of town to help support some of the new growth out that way. It does show that we're putting our money where our mouth is and that we are focused on that infrastructure. It is driving me nuts how much everything costs, but I am a private citizen sitting up here from the dais looking at government work, so I understand that, but it does give me a little bit of assurance that we are focused on some of the things that are important.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing kind of about the cost, and was eye-opening doing the 503, 502 project, but every capital project I've ever done, when you look at what the workers get paid, typically it's right at minimum wage. So they get paid an hourly salary and then they get paid benefits. You add those two together and it's right at the prevailing wage. And that's almost always been across the board. With 503, 502, almost every contractor and all of their subs got paid hourly at prevailing wage plus $10, $15, $20 worth of benefits. And why they're doing that is there's competition for their employees, you know, from other companies. So you can, just looking at that, so not only is prevailing wage higher, they're paying far above it to keep their employees employed, you know, with their company. We pay all of that cost with our projects. And so it's, like I said, it was eye-opening for me. I've never seen that before, but it was almost across the board with that project. And it's happening on all of our capital projects.
Yep, go ahead, Mayor.
One of the things that, you know, that's important to understand too is we hear a lot of times that we don't have the infrastructure to support growth. Growth pays for growth. So if we're putting a development in, they're paying for that growth. They're putting the infrastructure in. The challenge we have, which what people don't get, and they don't think to their own personal homes, right? Their own personal selves. Buying the house was not the last part of spending money in your household. Fixing the roof and the water heater and the, you know, carpet and all, you know, plumbing or whatever it is, all those things are on top of. And the biggest challenge we have is we put in roads, we build roads, and there's no funding mechanism to maintain them. You know, the county has it was $1.50. What's it now?
I believe it's like $1.13.
$1.13. So they're down to $1.13 per thousand just to roads. So if you're in the county, you're paying $1.13 that's going to roads. We don't have that. So we don't have that mechanism to continue to fix what we have. And when you look at this, I mean, even this is hard to sustain because the TBD is going to have a sunset on it, correct? At 10 years. So we have a sunset on the TBD. You know, we have to look at a mechanism to repair, and that's just on the repair side. If we're replacing stuff or we're redoing stuff, you know, it's crazy the amount of money that it takes to. I mean, it costs us what, $1 million to build a block of sidewalk, I think is what it was. So that was sidewalk, not roads, you know. And so that's the stuff that's frustrating, and you'll see it as we go through this. Is like, you know, we can get money. The federal government has money for us in loans. We don't have a way to pay for it, you know. So we go after these grants and we go after these different pots of money to try and get this, and we've done really well doing that. TIB has been really good to us lately. That's what did South Parkway out here was a TIB, and so you know, this is from the staff standpoint, they do a really good job of going and looking for money because what 700,000 of this is grants, correct?
500.
500?
Yeah.
Okay. I was giving you two. Should have took it, but yeah. So, I mean, that's money that our citizens have paid for. And I think that's the education that we have to give them. You guys paid this money. It just got collected and went to the state, and we went and got some of it back to try and fix this.
County gets 1.113 for roads. Is our total millage 109? Or 108
For our total for the city,
for the city?
we're at $1.01.
$1. So less
Yeah.
than the county gets roads, funds our entire city. All right, Councilmember DeRochers.
So, Councilmember Overholser had said about, I believe Eaton, east of Grace. Isn't that something we just talked about recently that we got funding for, or am I?
Yeah,
making it up?
that's the Millenville project. That's Area 5.
It was in the,
Yeah, it was in this.
I was like, well, I swear we're doing that, like,
Yeah.
let your people know. No, thank you.
Okay. Everybody's had their chance to ask questions. Next up, Ms. Erdman with the zoning code amendment.
Thank you, Mayor McCoy. As we are starting to look at doing the downtown planning and revitalization program, it came to our attention that there is a few businesses downtown that we could do a little more aesthetic improvements on. As we were doing the Grace Avenue realignment, that became apparent too. So what is in front of you today is some proposed zoning code amendments for the downtown zoning district that would allow for expansion of existing automobile service stations in the downtown area. In order for them to be able to expand, they have to meet aesthetic, it has to be for aesthetic purposes. So for example, the way the proposed code is written now, that if they were to be able to expand, they would have to add additional on-site screenings. So for example, fencing or landscaping, they'd have to, able to expand their building footprint, they have to move their storage of vehicles and goods inside. And they would be shifting storage areas to the back away from the street frontage. Also, any outside storage area must be screened by a 6-foot fence, solid chain link, or with privacy slats. Any expansion must meet all development and design standards in the initial downtown district. So the intention behind this is to try to clean up areas where we have a lot of storage, outdoor storage, kind of an industrial nature that are pre-existing, to be able to house those internally or behind fenced gates. So this is in front of you tonight to get any feedback that you guys have. This will also then go to Planning Commission, and we'll come back to you with a Planning Commission recommendation on January 19th. So I'll turn it over to you for questions.
And if council could do the mayor a favor and please use your pad to queue in for comments. Thank you, Councilmember DeRoches, for reminding me.
That's me.
I just removed her without even knowing who it was. Deputy Mayor Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So council, just a little history on this. There's only 2 automotive businesses in the downtown commercial district. They've been there for years, before it was a downtown commercial district, before we had a downtown, probably on one of them, maybe both of them. This was brought forward. I know Mark, this was a business that reached out, and I know Mark and I have met with them. They lost part of their lot. We bought part of their lot, their storage lot, for the Grace Avenue realignment project. And then they leased some from us of stuff that we've had for 12 years that we were holding for that Grace realignment project. So they reached out in losing this, and they had some opportunity to buy some property right behind them to be able to house some of this. And this is why this has come back, is because it wasn't allowed there. But they've been, everyone wants to use the word grandfathered, but there's really no such thing when they start wanting to change their buildings and stuff. And so it really kind of, hampered them as a business to be able to do anything. So this is why they brought this before us and wanted to look at it. I know that we'll have a set of drawings, I'm sure, once this goes through Planning Commission. Have we asked Jeremy and them for drawings?
No, they don't have an application, and this is just a zoning code amendment, so we don't have an active project at this point.
Would it
We
be
can-
beneficial for council to see
We-
what they're kind
I
of
do
trying to
have
do?
a set of draft drawings that they have, that they're looking at.
I think we should just focus on the zoning, making a zoning change for just one particular project probably is not in our best interest. I think we should just look at the merits of this change on itself. Make that decision.
Because this is only affecting 2 total though, right?
There are 2 existing businesses downtown, yeah.
Okay, what other options do we have if we don't do this for those businesses?
They would not be allowed to expand and take, because the space that they lost, they wouldn't be able to expand that in the back. Because they're existing, you said it, they're existing non-conforming.
Yeah.
So they're allowed to stay there and the use is allowed to stay there, but they cannot expand the size of that use currently.
Thank you.
So I think this is great because this is a business in town, allows businesses in town to expand and puts the parking lot behind a fence. So I like the thought that went into this. I think it's a great example of the city working with our local business owners.
If there's no other comment, we'll run this through Planning Commission and bring it back to you on January 19th with their recommendation.
So we have council consensus for that? All right, sounds like so. And that moves us on to administrative reports. Looks like we have an end of the year report.
Yes, we have an end of the year report for code enforcement, so I'm going to turn it over to our Community Development Director, Mr.
sorry.
Crummett.
What are you asking?
Did I say the
We're,
wrong
we're
date?
still,
for the
we're in
January?
this. Oh, the next meeting is January 16th.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 16th, not 19th. No, I have the 19th in my head.
Okay, good evening, council.
Is it
Any-
because it doesn't have a tag?
Does anyone need a boat or some tires? Those used to be on First Street, but it's gone now. In this presentation, I just want to highlight what has happened in 2023. I'll start with just some slides of things that we've accomplished, and then I'll get into some statistics, and then really task the council with some homework to think about code enforcement direction in 2024. And we'll have a work session in February to go over that in detail, but first of all, just to start with code enforcement, it's a broad category. Most employees at the city have some kind of law behind them that they enforce, whether that's police or building officials. When I speak of code enforcement, I'm specifically talking more about the zoning issues, the land use issues. And we do have one code enforcement officer in City Hall that takes care of a lot of things that we'll go over this evening. I'm having trouble getting my screen to work here. There we go. This is what I'd call a nuisance property. Oftentimes you'll just see these places where a lot of garbage gets thrown in the front yard. And this was a case that was resolved this year. We have graffiti that pops up. This was on one of the Anderson Dairy properties by the Fairgrounds Park, and we had that taken care of. Doesn't look ideal, but they at least addressed it and got rid of it. We do have homeless encampments that pop up here and there, and we've been actively enforcing those and helping people find resources, but letting them know that this is not an acceptable place to be. And we typically will give them 72 hours to figure out a plan, and then if they don't honor that time frame, then we'll remove their belongings and give them the opportunity to take those back. We have, parking issues that arise. Here's a semi-tractor truck parked along Fairgrounds Park, and that was addressed. Again, nuisance properties, RVs in front of homes. And I think like with most code enforcement issues, they're often very complicated. There's usually family circumstances that are happening. There could be some crime involved. Financial hardship. It's often, it often doesn't happen overnight, but these can take weeks and sometimes months. This was a house that had a fire in it. This one took a while to resolve, but they eventually got their place cleaned up. And it's pretty common for people to kind of put their RVs in front of their house. I know at our last council meeting, this issue came up, but our code does not authorize RVs or campers in front of houses or even in their front driveway. For long term, I should say. Another RV in a front yard. Our code enforcement also is tasked with animal control, so part of that job is finding stray pets, or at least communicating and networking to get pets back to their owners. And then moving on to statistics, in 2023, we had a total of 370 cases. There's been a lot of effort, particularly the past couple months, to close out several of those cases. So we've closed 342 out of the 370. We still have 28 ongoing cases. We've resolved 92% of all the cases in 2023. And just for the sake of transparency, there's been some cases that we have not addressed, such as weeds or barking dogs that have happened this summer. I said, close those out. You know, if they come back, we'll deal with them. But we've made it a push to get as many of these closed out. Sorry about that. The wrong button. And then cases by type, animal control is the animal cases are the largest amount of cases in terms of type that our enforcement officer deals with. The other category are just the odds and ends that don't really fit into a large amount. It would be things like basketball hoops on sidewalks, garage sale signs, lighting complaints, things like that. You know, random things that are on sidewalks or cargo containers that are in places they shouldn't be. And the nuisance properties are kind of in third there. Those, I think, get the most attention because if you, you know, a person that has a nuisance property, that it's very visible, it can kind of drag down a neighborhood. So we've focused nuisance property as priority. And then there's still the parking. I'd say I'll highlight a major change shifted really beginning of this year is to have the police deal with parking issues on street. Our code enforcement deals with parking related items like on site, whether it's an abandoned vehicle that gets dropped on property. And I think we'll see that number just get much smaller as the police ramp up on parking enforcement, especially now that we have someone hired. Vegetation and environmental issues come up. Wetlands are protected in the city. Oftentimes people that live near wetlands tend to get into those for different reasons. And then vegetation always seems to be an issue, especially during the growing season. Weeds specifically. RVs in front yards, and then noise. Sorry, I'm doing this the hard way. So in February, as I said, we'll hold a work session with council to seek direction on code enforcement priorities and goals. We want to hear from you as a council collectively to tell us how to do a better job. And I do have all the statistics updated for the year. I'll send this out in your weekly report that shows each of these 370 cases. But again, yeah, I think, think about where we need to improve and make Battleground more of a livable city.
And just to reiterate that, we had kind of talked during the budget process, you know, trying to put together a new code enforcement plan as the new community development director comes on board. We do have interviews for that position scheduled for next Friday, so we're getting that ball rolling. We would like to bring this back at a work session, just kind of hear from council so we can make sure that the priorities that we're setting for that program are what you guys are wanting. So we're just asking that you guys take a little time. We'll send, like Sam said, send this out in the weekly report. If you can kind of look through there and see what kind of, what types of cases we're currently working on and focusing on. And if you want to see a shift in that, just bring that back at the February meeting and we'll discuss that further and then put together a plan. And we're continuing to work on the technology piece of this too. So this is kind of the first start. We wanted to recap what has happened in 2023, and then we'll start moving forward with new priorities and goals for 24.
Councilmember Cortez.
Thank you, Mayor McCoy. Real quick, Aaron, do we have any council members on the interview panels for the
we haven't finalized the set of panels yet, but currently I don't have any, but we can add.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to at least seek, if anybody would like to participate, I think it's a great way of just getting a unique lens of what goes into the role that we're looking for. On all those 370 cases, roughly give or take, how long was the average to close them out? Or maybe I shouldn't say all 370 because there's still 28 that are still open, right? But on all the ones that were closed, on average, how long does it take to close those out?
I don't have that because the cases are so diverse. Some
Right.
cases might be solved in a day or a phone call, like get your basketball hoop off the sidewalk. Versus some that we're probably gonna have to bring into court and get those solved through legal means. But yeah, if I was to kind of just guess at like an average case, maybe like 8 to 10 touches, which I would call phone calls with the complainant, the owner, giving them a chance and a time frame to comply, doing a site visit, checking in, you know, that can take, that seems to be pretty common.
Do we know how many of those cases that were closed went through the court systems? Or the court system?
We haven't had any go through the court system yet.
Okay.
We've spoken with our city attorney about kind of the next steps on some of those, what would be the kind of what would be the average cost for the city and what would be the ultimate benefit. And I think that would be an area we could improve on. I think if the city does want to continue to be aggressive on code enforcement, there's just going to be some cases that are going to land in court where we've exhausted all our remedies administratively.
Do we have mechanisms to enforce fines without going through the courts
For
violations?
We can do collections and we can place a lien on properties. We need legal advice going through that, but those are kind of the two routes we would have.
Have we done any of that on any of the closed cases? Like issued any fines or collection?
We've issued several $1,000s in fines. We've received some of those have been paid. The majority have not been paid as we wait to get people into compliance. And then there's a decision-making point of, you know, when we just hand it over to our city attorney and say, we're getting nothing on this property.
Okay. But those wouldn't be considered part of the closed cases. Those would be probably part of the 28 still open.
Yeah, those are still open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay, I'll ask. Your total number, those did not include the ones that you just closed out, right?
Total number
Of closed
is
cases.
370.
They didn't include the ones that you just told them to close out, right?
I don't know if I totally understand
think-
your question.
The barking dogs and.
Yeah, there
Okay,
was.
but-
Oh, yeah.
There's,
Of the total, there were a few that we had closed out that I directed to close out. For example, a barking dog complaint that happened this summer where we didn't have time to go address that. And we haven't had any other complaints on it. Those are cases we just clear out, I've closed out, but not cases where there's an active ongoing issue like a nuisance property.
okay, I was just more wondering if that counted towards your statistics of closed cases.
There are some of those.
There are
yeah.
some,
Okay,
there are, I think off the top of my head, when I was going through this, I counted about 40 that I closed out that, just needed to be closed.
And we have kind of changed some priorities in the last couple of months, kind of requesting more of the complainant before we start down that path. So those aren't even getting to the point of a case at this time. So we're kind of trying to shift that dynamic. So everything that goes in is something that we're actively working.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Councilmember Overholser? Who was
No,
six?
that's
Oh,
me. I'm
or-
6.
I
Yeah.
need the
Oh,
list.
You got one too? No, I should.
If you don't have.
Yeah, yeah, that's why yeah.
Can I get an example of one of the worst, ordinance violations out of those 28 that are still open that you're assuming getting some kind of, or you're about to move over to this new process, giving it to the lawyers? Can I get an example of one of
Yeah,
them?
one example would be a property where they built structures illegally. And they have shown no interest in complying with our codes. They have paid a fee or a fine, I should say. But in terms of correcting the situation would mean like removing the structure, the shop. And that hasn't happened yet.
Sorry, in those situations, they just didn't get proper permits or they're not allowable where it's at or?
Property line issues.
Yeah, this was a case in a residential property. You have to have structures 5 feet from property lines. It was built within probably a foot or two of a property line. It was like a shop with even like some living quarters in it, and it was built, 15 years ago, but that still doesn't get you off the hook. I mean, if it was done illegally, and if there's just no willingness to comply, that would be one where we'd probably need some legal help in the courts to make that happen.
Okay, anybody else? All right, that concludes administrative reports.
Yes.
Moving on to council communications, anything maybe that wasn't for the good of the order or anyone added to the agenda for next meeting, now would be the time. If you have a good of the order, sure, go for it, Councilmember Rochers.
All right, so you mentioned that we would select the members for boards and committees our next meeting. Well, there's a couple meetings coming up on next week that I'm not gonna be on the boards anymore, so we kind of need people.
Well,
So Echo and, what's the other, Urban County Policy Board? And that's a big one because I believe they're doing their presentations. So
yeah,
I don't know if somebody just wants to show up.
I can definitely show up for the community county board and put a warm body in that. Does anybody have any interest in the ECHO? Homeless?
Indian Community Homeless Organization. We haven't really done anything yet. We've kind of just talked, I guess. I'm not really sure what we're doing.
Councilmember Olmsted.
Yeah, I'd be interested in further information on that council. How often do they meet?
Once monthly, the second Tuesday of the month
Second Tuesday of the month.
at 9:30 to 11.
And this is the council, if I remember right, last year, you had mentioned you meet a lot, but you haven't really got any traction of doing.
Still don't know what we're doing. We tried to get together to do some like legislative suggestions and stuff like that, but nobody can come together to actually like come up with something to present to our legislators or anything. So it's kind of more just having community organizations come in and tell us what they're doing in the community. And yeah, I mean, the reason I'm giving these up is because, well, first of all, I've had them the whole time. And then second is I use my vacation time to attend all these meetings. And sometimes they would prefer that you were in person for a lot of these. And I can't do that because I'm taking time out of my work day to go on vacation time for an hour and a half.
Do you know the term length? on them?
Well,
Appointment?
just,
4 years.
yeah, for the rest of your
Stop.
life.
16 to 18 years with
Yeah.
automatic renewal.
Know that it's real.
Just here,
formal.
how about this? Go to the one meeting, fill in for us there.
I will do that.
And then we'll, if you could forward both of those meeting agendas on to us too. And we will just sit in and then that way we can get through to the next meeting.
Mhm.
Sound good?
Thank
Agreed.
you.
Council, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah,
As long as we don't have a
go.
quorum, yeah.
So it's also streamed on like CVTV or something.
Just, yeah, just always communicate with, the mayor on that. So make sure we don't have 4 people show up and, too cute for jail.
I think we need to look at some of these boards and commissions. If they're not doing anything, like, I mean, that's a waste of our time to be sitting there in a meeting to sit around and try and discuss policy that no one can, if they can't come up with policy, if you're just getting presentations, those groups can come present to us at our meeting, and it doesn't take time away from either vacation days or, work or whatever it may be. So I think we need to, I mean, everybody wants, and the new people will find this out. Everybody wants you at their stuff because they think it brings them credibility, and we're gonna bring you in, and we're gonna have this, and then we're gonna go start pushing our agenda, and we've got all these people supporting this, right? That are electeds, and it doesn't always mean that it's the best thing. I don't have a problem with these, but I think we need to, Mr. Cortez, you'll remember when we first got elected in 2012, the list of boards and commissions that we had was, I mean, it was crazy. The mayor sat on probably 15 different boards and commissions. There was a North County like policy, North County Policy Board or something like that. There was a youth board. I mean, all these boards and commissions that everybody wanted a piece of your time, but nothing was being done, or it really didn't have a lot of effect on us as a city. And so we got rid of a lot of those. But if that's the way Echo is, and it's just a bunch of people sitting around talking homelessness and not doing anything, then well, yeah.
Perfect.
Then I think that, maybe we look at that and our time is used better elsewhere, but you'll see when you go.
And
Yeah.
And Council, you're gonna go to that too as well? The Echo? Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Yeah, 9th to 11th, second Tuesday. But I will say initially it started out as what we thought it was about the, what is that funding? The
Recording fee?
recording document fees, since the county oversees those funds, which is through a different program, but we thought that we'd have more of a say on how that stuff was done, but we actually haven't.
Every title is recorded has a $10 fee that's supposed to come back to the cities, but we've never seen a penny, is my understanding.
Well, because it goes to the county, because they,
County distributes it, yeah.
yeah, just like other, like the public safety tax and all that. So anyways, that's what we thought it was initially, was a way to figure out how to work with the funds, but it's kind of evolved into having every service provider in the area come in and explain what they do.
Who's the chair?
And it's Gary Medjiby. Well, it's really just a lot of different agendas. And nobody's on the same page.
Well, it's not,
Well-
there's no overriding director, correct? It's just electeds in a room trying to solve problems?
Yeah, but it's run by, the chair dominates the.
But
main- that's
I mean, it's all
the-
electeds. There's not
Yeah.
there's not an administrator or a director that's day-to-day job is to enact the will of the board.
We have no official.
That might be your problem.
It's just advisory. Well, we thought, okay, I can't remember what the bylaws said, but
Yeah.
we had to build everything, but I don't think that we vote or have any.
Well, we look forward to the report next meeting.
Yeah.
You too?
Maybe you'll have fun.
Yeah. So, and if you two decide that,
Me? No. Oh, I was like,
I don't know, I'm going to the county one. So I'll take the other one.
you can do it online. too.
Yeah,
You don't
so-
have to go in person, but if you were to go in person, it's at the county building.
I'd recommend in person if you can make it. It's always better. Okay, anything else for good of the order? All right, our next meeting is Tuesday, January 16th. Study sessions at 6 PM, regular meeting to follow at 7 PM. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.